Hi everybody, it's Keith with Bob CNC. Kristen, you don't need to talk, okay?
Yeah. You're never going to get on here, so
Yeah.
cut it out.
Who said
Yeah.
I wanted to be on there?
Well, we have guys that want to see you on the thing. Whatever. But anyway, I'm with my best friend again, Bob, and we're here to talk about, don't get mushy, to talk about CNCs.
We have been
E3.
best friends for a lot of years, haven't we?
Yeah.
How many years have we been best friends?
Too long.
Yeah, nobody
Too
asked
long?
you.
No, it's close to
I knew,
30.
yeah, I knew Kristen when she was a wee little thing.
Yeah. Oh,
She was,
I was 13.
and she was nice.
well, yeah, 13. That's like 30 some odd years ago.
I know, let's not talk about it.
Hey, I got to tell you, we were out in the shop the other day, and Keith looked like he was in pain. I thought he hurt himself, so I went up there and I said, "Hey, what's the problem?" He said, "Nothing. I'm just thinking."
God. Oh, that ain't the only pain that I have felt here.
That's probably true. Anyway, what do you have for us today?
Well, I don't have anything. I wanted to remind everybody, June 22nd, if you're in the Kansas City area, we're going to be attending the Maker Faire up there. And it'd be nice if we could run into you. If you can't remember what we happen to look like, and I'm quite sure it's unforgettable, you'll see our big Bob CNC shirts.
We got hats too.
Okay, you'll see the Bob CNC shirts. I don't do hats.
You don't do hats?
I don't do hats. Okay. I've worked hard to get bald.
Okay.
And I like everyone that, okay. And then October 5th, we have the Mini Maker Faire coming up in Springfield. We're going to have 2 or 3 booths. And again, if you guys have projects that you would like to display and you can come, we'd love to have you bring projects. We're going to have more than enough booth space to, boy, I almost didn't get that out, to,
I was curious about what
I
you
have no idea. Well, things are getting stuck now. You used to be able to talk.
That's bad for a marketing guy.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of writing now, I guess. Did have a question come up. I was looking, well, let's see. I overheard a question. You were talking to somebody on the phone. And this comes up in about 3 or 4 different forms, but it has to do with, there's always the, can I buy the E4 or the E3 assembled? And what would you charge someone to assemble one?
I can't even say it out loud because then, no.
Because somebody would take you up on it.
Yeah, somebody might.
Yeah.
But it would be a lot. I mean, you for guys who assembled it, it takes 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
I think because we've done it so many times, we could probably get that down to 5 or 6,
Maybe.
right? But we'd still have to polyurethane it and everything. So,
Right.
so I guess the bottom line is for me, and this is just my personal preference. But a person that builds his own machine and understands how it works, as they're putting it together, at least I'm hoping they're contemplating, hey, this switch goes here. Oh, I see what that does, right? You understand your machine better, so therefore, when you're doing maintenance or when something's not going right, since you built it, you would know how to handle it. But the truth is, I mean, that's me personally. I like that it comes in a kit and you get to build it. But really, the big driver in why we don't have them, I mean, it would be a lot bigger and the shipping would cost more. Plus, the time that we would spend assembling it would be cost inhibitive. I mean, it wouldn't be simple.
Well, it's not only the cost of shipping, but once you've got it together, if somebody throws that into somebody's truck because they're traveling across the country or they're, my gosh, the insurance would be crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway. That leads to another comment or another question, and we're going to touch on computer-aided design again and computer-aided machining, because there are guys that want to know, where can I go and get a full-blown file and just drop it in, hit a button, and all of a sudden I've got a finished product. And I addressed this a couple of years ago. We did a little blog on, or no, it was actually a little video thing on who should buy or why should I buy an E3, E4. Well, actually, it was E3 at the time. And one thing that, for those of you that are contemplating buying the machine, you are not going to get a better value in the market anywhere. But you're not buying a handsaw, and you're not buying a hammer, and you're not buying a screwdriver. There are certain tools that, while there is a little learning curve, so you know how to use a tool properly, with a CNC, really you're entering in, I know it's a hobby, but you're almost entering into a kind of a lifestyle.
Oh yeah, there's definitely different phases. Now, I've done it for so many years, I've probably forgotten most of those, right? But, first of all, you got to assemble the machine. And for the most part, I think most guys enjoy that, or gals enjoy that. Couldn't put it together. The manual is really good, and it goes together right. Well, now it's together, and, you got to figure out that software. And that's kind of the pain for some, because we have a lot of older folks that aren't really great with computers, right? So they figure out.
I kind of.
Well,
go ahead.
Keith did take a while. I mean, he was a good customer. Experience. You were a good customer experience. Anyway, so you have to figure out the software. But after you figure out the software, now you hook it to the machine. Okay, so now you got it to home, and you can jog. Okay, now what? Well, now you have to, learn the software enough to make the file, and then you got a file and it still doesn't work. You're getting all kinds of alarms. What's wrong with the machine? No, it's got to set it up right. So there's just a learning curve, one right after the other. So you have to build the machine. You have to learn how to make the machine work. You have to learn how to set the machine up. You have to learn how to make the toolpath file, and then you have to learn about speeds and feeds after that, right?
Well, so, not only that, now you've got your project pretty well done. And now you're learning the intricacies is the wrong word, but you're learning the effect that different bits have on finishing your work.
Up cuts, down cuts,
yeah.
How many flutes, what's the feed rate, the plunge rate can't go that fast, all of those things, lots of experience. We have had questions or comments from several customers that, and I understand this, what everybody would like to have is, I want one software that I can push a button, take a picture, say this is what I want, and push a button, and then it goes out to my CNC. The truth of the matter is as far as I know, that doesn't really exist in any software. Even if you had a production Mazak machine, it would have its own interface that we would call a G-code sender or a toolpath sender, right? And we were talking about this before, it would be proprietary, right? So that's our universal G-code sender. You need a computer to send it to the CNC machine. Now, if you have different type of machines, some of you are familiar with Mach 3, Mach 4, Linux CNC. We actually run one of those out in the shop. It's still a sender. It's just the computing power is done on the computer, and then it just sends it just a bunch of on and off switches to the machine. Still a sender. Okay, so everybody, you got to have a sender. Well, what else do you need? There's two programs, right? CAD and CAM. CAD is computer-aided design, and CAM is computer-aided machining. CAM's pretty easy. It makes toolpaths. Where it gets gray is CAD. You take your Vectric software, which is fantastic software. A lot of people really like it. It's kind of a mixture, CAD and CAM, right? So it does some CAD, and it makes the toolpath. And guess what? If you have a fancy model, you can import it. So even it by itself, you can use it.
What do you mean, if you have a fancy model?
Well, if I have done some design work in AutoCAD, Fusion 360, my favorite program's Space Claim Mechanical, which is free, where you can do a 3D model and make an STL file, you can import that straight into the Vectric software or straight into EstelCAM, anything that does that 3D, and then they make toolpaths for that.
The common denominator, though, with all of this is that you've got to have the skill to be able to make the model that you can import. And there's no shortcut to learning this stuff.
Well, I mean, there's an easier way. Start off with Windows Paint, roughly a CAD program, right? Because you're doing design work, and write your name and do that toolpath. Those are called 2.5D, right? Because you're just cutting in a single depth and making a certain shape. I mean, you would never want to start out with a Mona Lisa if you were new to CNC. I mean, it would just be really frustrating. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's some guys out there that can do it, but it wouldn't be me. I mean, it took me years of oops. I laugh at all of the firewood that I see, the people that, you know, is getting rid of all of the junk today. It does. It takes experience, and even if you have experience, I mean, Keith and I'll tell you here where we run production machine, we have scrap. I mean, something goes wrong with the machine every once in a while on our production machines, on our production laser. It just happens.
Right.
So
now we had somebody write in. They have a problem with an exception error. What is that?
This is one that is common for me, and you know, with the support when Kristen and I are helping with the support tickets, and there's several different reasons for that. But the bottom line, I think probably 80% of them is your home switch is going back and it's hitting the home switch. It's triggering, so it's stopping, but it's not pulling far enough back to actually get off the home switch. So here's the things that I've seen that causes that. The new version of UGS, in some of their revisions, it just seems like it happens. Okay, I've had that experience and tried to figure out how to fix it and just didn't have any luck. With the older version, that's not as pretty, I've never experienced that one, unless I have a loose belt, right? So it can drive it to the home switch because it's going to keep on going until it hits it. But when it backs up, there's enough backlash or looseness of belt slack that it can't pull it off the home switch, so you get the error. Or sometimes, you know, we have you zip tie the belts together, and once you loop them around, if that square nubbin on that zip tie, is that a professional term? I have no, it's square nubbin?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, what would you call it?
Square nubbin.
Okay, wow. Okay, I think he copied that somewhere. Anyway, if you make sure that's on the inside so that you know the home switch doesn't hit it on the way back, but something is interfering with, not that it's getting to the home switch because it's stopping, but it can't back off enough. So if you're having that error, check for those things. If you guys find something else that you know you found a fix, please share it, because you know, we get all kinds of different errors that sometimes that we deal with. Something's not working right, but loose belts, definitely I'll give you one of those.
Kristen, you got anything?
Yep.
Go ahead. Surprise us. Any time.
I'm going to go really slow now. Trish had a question, and I showed you some of the pictures beforehand. She has it posted under the Facebook Live announcement today. But she states, I have a quick question regarding the tapered ball nose bits. I'm using a 3.2, I should have my glasses, and a 1/8 inch bit to add detail to my 3D carving. The issue I am having is when I execute the G code on UGS, it seems to go 10 times faster than when I use normal ball nose bit or any other of my bits. Is this normal?
The speed that your CNC travels around is set in the G-code file. So in that window, I believe that you showed, it shows the feed rate in inches per minute and the plunge rate in inches per minute. That is what you need to change. The other thing that I've seen happen, but you didn't mention anything about it cutting too small or too big, is if you don't use the gerbil inch or gerbil millimeter post-processor, right? Some of the post-processors don't have the G20 or G21, which is the units command. So therefore, UGS is always going to go to millimeters, so it would actually cut different. And I would think that would actually be slower, but I always get those backwards. But your feed rate, plunge rate is in the bit setting in VCarve. As a matter of fact, I think it's, if I remember right, it was actually on the picture that you sent. So look through there and make sure that on that bit, the settings are the same as the other bit that you were happy with, the speed that it was cutting. Let me know if that works. So,
And then another guy asked, he wants to know if his KL series is ready yet.
actually, you know, I think this one's just going to go in my shop. We're probably, you know, we're not going to make one. No, none of them have shipped yet.
Robert, would you just get to the point?
What's the point?
Well, the point is, we are still I mean, we've just gotten to where we're testing the machine.
Yeah, we're doing durability testing.
And there are going to be more revisions to the design, which is going to be more, or different pieces are going to be manufactured and put together. Then it's going to have to be durability tested again. And as much as we are absolutely blessed that you guys want to have one of these as soon as possible, if we send this thing out too soon, we are sending out a mutual nightmare. So we would just as soon not do that, to make sure you get the absolute best machine that we can make and it'll perform the way you want it to perform. I'm as excited to see this thing go as you. The only difference is I get to watch this thing actually work and get to help Bob, make the adjustments we're making. Anyway, so when we say that an announcement will be made, there is no timetable. I wish I could say, well, geez, in past experience we could say 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It'll be a while. So we will keep you up to date, and as soon as we can give you specific information, we will. This is a great time to start saving.
Well, what we can tell you is a little bit about what we have. So if you haven't been paying attention, it's the Bell Everman belt drive. If you type in Bell Everman servo drive, he's got some movies out there on it. It's a pretty clever design for eliminating belt stretch. One of our customers made the E3 and the E4 famous by extending the X. Well, this, one of the kits is going to be a 4 foot by 4 foot, but it would be very easily to extend to a 4 by 8 or a 4 by 10 or a 4 by 12 because of this Bell Everman servo drive. So that's one of the advantages of how big is your shop, right? I mean, we can do what you need. The other thing is we're doing a ball screw on the Z, right? So that's a little bit different. And because we're making it out of the 1/2 inch, I think it's 9-ply Baltic birch, there's some added features to help with the adjustments like tramming and keeping your bearings snug up against the rails. So as we get these things refined and defined, like he said, we're going through durability testing. We're pushing this thing a lot faster probably than we'll let it go for production. We had it, I think, before it stalled up at about 1,500 inches per minute. And
Yeah, see that thing set.
Yeah,
I mean, to stand behind the gantry, just to make sure the belts are tracking right and all that, and have that sucker come at you at 1,500. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll that is not a production rate that we're striving for. It'll probably be around 800 inches a minute is probably, but that means it doesn't take very long to get to the end of that 48 inches. So and that'll help you with your cutting times, because there's a lot of time when your bit's not cutting, so it can be moving that fast,
Right.
Even though your feed rates when you're cutting will be quite a bit slower than that. Any more questions, Kristen?
I'm reading slow. Nope.
Okay.
Sorry.
You read slow.
What
and
were you
came up with
reading?
no?
There are no questions.
Brian responded
Okay.
with something, and he said something nice to you too, but I'm not reading it now.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any questions in it.
I would really like to hear something nice that comes out of your mouth.
You have a wonderful daughter.
He did not say that.
I'm pretty sure he did. That's what I'm getting from it.
All right, guys. Before this goes completely into the dumpster, I wanted to name this Detention with Keith and Bob. I think that would be a much better name, but the marketing people overruled me. What'd you guys come up with?
Shop talk.
Shop talk.
Right, and there are some people who have made comments. Do we actually act like this all the time?
Pretty
And
much.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It might even be worse than this.
Yeah, sometimes our wives, they're not used to this kind of back and forth all the time. So I think they think, actually they don't anymore.
Because we built a great big wall.
Yeah, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they were getting used to it.
No.
Okay. Anyway, because we work in the back.
Yeah.
Here I thought they, just knew that we loved each other.
Kathy still, that drives her nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start being nice.
Well, it's you she doesn't like.
Okay. That seems fair. All right, see you guys later next week.
Next time.